Welcome back to Heroes Next Door. Thank you all for joining us today. Today we are in Granbury, Texas, and we're going to be doing a station rigs on this here air light. So today I have the pleasure of meeting with the chief, and he's going to walk us through this. Hey Matt, good to see you.
Good to see you again, Mike.
Before we get started, Chief, just give us a little introduction to the viewers, who you are and where we're at.
Okay. Matt Hohan, I'm the chief of Granbury Volunteer Fire Department, and we're in Granbury, Texas.
And where in Texas is this? Is this near Houston, Fort Worth? Where are we at?
So look at the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're about 30 to 45 minutes southwest of Fort Worth.
Okay. And how big's your community here?
Granbury's 12,000. Our ETJ is another about 4,000. Our county district total, city and county districts, right at 20,000. But we're automatic aid for a total, or first on for a total of just under 60,000.
Wow. Okay. So about what's the call volume that you get?
We're right at 2,000 calls a year, and we're priority 1 medical only.
Okay.
So we're looking at about 1,650, 1,700 fire calls, and that leeway on the medical side.
Okay. So you guys are pretty busy, and you're
Yes.
100% volunteer.
100% volunteer.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
So the other day I was doing some research, and I saw this truck online, and I'm very interested in that. Can you kind of tell us what this truck is about?
Sure. So our light and air truck, it's more than just a light and air truck. For us, it's a command ride. It is a transportation ride. It's a rehab. It's obviously provides light. It's got a gigantic generator on it. It's a 40 kW generator. It's got plug-ins so that if we needed to, we can go into our local hospital and provide power.
Wow.
Or to our EOC. And then we've also got a pretty large Cascade and SCBA refill system on it.
Okay. Can we take a look on the inside and see
Sure,
how it's all
let's
put
start
together?
up front.
All right. And what's the chassis? What is this on?
So this is on a Freightliner chassis.
Okay.
It's built by Pierce, and we took delivery of it in 2017.
Okay. So describe to me what you got in the driver's seat there. What's all around you?
So on the very typical driver's seat, okay, you've got your radio console here, siren console down low, and then from there you've got just a standard truck panel.
Okay.
So you've got your generator control here, your warning lights, and then it is a Class B truck, so it's got air brakes, and it's just a pretty standard truck to drive from that point of view, and a very standard front area to operate.
Okay. I noticed it's got even air seats on
Yep,
it.
it's got air ride on it.
So it's nice and comfortable.
Classic air horn. So it is a very smooth ride. It's also not that heavy of a truck for the chassis that it's on. So even though the body's large, it's not that heavy. This truck can handle wherever it's going pretty well. And we've taken it into some pretty surprising places.
All right. Can we take a look at the cabinets and see how it's all set up?
Sure, let's walk around.
Okay. As we're kind of working back, you said this is a Class B truck. Do you have to have a CDL in order to drive this truck?
In Texas, no. What you do have to have is a Class B driver's license.
Okay.
So, and that's for Texas, just a standard driver's license, particularly for emergency vehicle operators.
Okay.
So on the first compartment we go into, kind of start at the bottom and I'll lift it up.
Okay.
Just spare SCBA bottles.
And you guys are running Scott?
Yep, we run Scott. Now, one thing that Granbury is we run the Scott 5500 bottles, and the county around us is still in Scott, but they run the 45.
Okay.
So we've got a mixture of both as we go through. Little giant ladder.
Yep, always useful.
Coming up, we really get into just, you'll see a lot of rehab stuff. Chairs up top, kind of garbage, portable garbage bags. But the intent is on the very top of the truck, we have a large awning.
Okay.
It comes out about 10 feet.
Wow.
So Texas, as you guys have found out, gets a touch warm. And you'll find that wherever you deploy an awning is where people are going to congregate when they're coming out for rehab. Then we've just got some basic, just extra material that you would need for kind of mass casualty or just large scene.
Okay.
So bunch of extra flashlights, a couple of extra VHF radios.
Okay.
We are a P25 system here, but we do carry extra VHF radios for state interoperability. At the very top, we do have a extendable hose reel.
For electric?
For electric,
Yep.
electric line reel, okay? So pretty standard on this side. There's nothing too fantastic or glorious happening right here.
Okay. Got a lot of bottles. That's good. So, one of the questions that our viewers are going to have, bottles versus cylinders. What do you guys call it down here in Texas?
I don't get too caught up in vernacular. For me, I'm going to call it a bottle.
Okay.
I look at a cylinder as the actual SCBA Cascade system.
Copy that.
Okay. So we're actually on the back side of the compressor here.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is the extend-a-light out of the top of the truck.
Okay.
Goes up 20 feet in the air.
Nice.
Okay. And it's got full articulating head and tilt, and you can put light anywhere. And you could land the space shuttle with this if you needed to. And that's the 4-bottle Cascade system. Okay.
Okay.
So we can actually fill a ton of bottles. And then you multiply that with the size of the compressor, and we're able to keep a pretty tight rotation on keeping things topped off.
Okay.
We've had some pretty big events, apartment fires, large structure fires, commercial, and we've had as many as 100, 150 firefighters on scene, and we've never had a problem keeping up with getting the bottles refilled in time.
Okay. Okay.
The very first, this truck hadn't even been technically in service yet. It was delivered a day or two before, and then we'd had a 26 or 28 unit apartment fire.
Okay.
2 stories. And needless to say, we're going to bring the light and air truck out on that.
Absolutely.
And the truck worked for about 4.5 hours straight.
Nice, nice. So those bottles or cylinders, they stay in the truck. Then in fill,
Yes.
you have your own compressor, so you don't have to pull those in or out or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, these are fixed mounted. The only time they'd be pulled is if they needed to be inspected, and we spent the extra money to get the lifetime bottles.
Okay.
So
nice.
these are there to stay.
I love how nice, clean, and simple it is too.
So coming into the next compartment, more light, extender reels,
Okay.
okay, general toolbox, sprinkler kits, and literally spare parts,
Okay.
okay? A little bit of spare parts, spare gaskets, just for the general stuff that you might have fail on scene that's associated either with the SCBA refill system or the air packs.
Okay. Makes sense.
A lot of, mostly gaskets, O-rings, tiny screws,
Right. Stuff that'll fall off when we're not paying attention, when we're working
Right.
fast to try to get back in the fire.
and it's not to do a complete breakdown on the air pack. It's to make an emergency repair.
Okay.
Get the equipment back.
That's
into
thinking ahead,
service.
Chief. You know, that's definitely something that, not a lot of people have.
Yeah, and it's kind of the uniqueness of this truck in that, yes, it's utilitarian in what it can do, but you have the extra compartment space. Why don't you actually do some of the stuff, if you can, that you routinely need on scenes?
Right.
And here in the back of the truck, we have our actual SCBA refill system.
Okay. I like that it's in the back. I've not really seen it on either side, but having it in the back actually is safer, I think, because then you can have traffic going on each side. You don't have to worry about it.
Well, and it's also, at the end of the day, it's just ergonomics. You get a ton of compartment space on either side doing this. We do have an awning on the very top that comes off.
Okay.
Okay, so the operator here can get covered up. It will start at the very top. We do have a 200-foot whip line.
Okay.
Okay, now that's used for diving operations. We can refill scuba bottles
Okay.
and not have to lug their packs and tanks off of the lakeside. So we can be parked up on top of a hill and then just drag the line down to wherever the boat's operating.
Okay.
You can use it if we're filling a ton of bottles. We will use that to fill extra bottles while we're filling bottles here.
Okay. So for our viewers, are you able to open this up and kind of show how this all operates? 'Cause
Yes.
many people may not understand this.
Yeah. Well, I don't have the hex heads to open up the actual panel, but I
Okay.
can open the physical refill door.
Okay.
Okay. So take your bottle and you would just simply put it in and then attach it. As you attach it, okay, you're going to go through bleed valve, fill valve, attach the other bottle, close the door.
Okay.
Okay. Now everything's going to be based off of these gauges.
Okay.
Up top, and then coming down.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to kind of start backwards and talk about how the air moves through the truck.
Okay, perfect.
These control the individual bottles that we saw earlier, the big white bottles.
Okay.
So if I open up number 1, I'm allowing air from those bottles to come to the back of the truck.
Gotcha.
Okay. Coming up is a pressure regulator.
Yep.
This is real important, okay, because of 2 reasons. 1, we don't want to dump a massive amount of air into these bottles because they're only rated to certain PSIs. And then on top of this, we have complexity in our area because we have 2 different pressures.
Right.
55 and 45. So you're going to set your pressure here to the corresponding bottle. Then you're going to go up and you're going to physically open the valve past the regulator
Yep.
to fill the bottles.
Okay.
Okay. Once the bottles are full, really all you need to do is turn it off here. Okay. Then you can open the door, shut the fill lines, close the bottles, open the purchase.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. It all flows very mechanically. It makes
Yes.
sense to go from one point to another.
We don't look at air as a fluid, but it is.
Yeah.
It's just treat it just like you would any other pressurized fluid system. And it's got valves, it's got check valves, it's going to have bleed valves. You can overpressurize it, you can underpressure it.
Okay.
So they've all got a specific place.
One of the questions that will come up that I know viewers are going to ask is, can you do other systems other than Scott's? Can you do the MSA? Can you
Yes.
do a dragger?
Yes, we can do Scott, MSA, Draeger. We also have, and it may be in that side compartment with the toolboxes, but we've also got fittings and adapters that we can put on here for like filling oxygen bottles
Okay.
or filling SCBA.
Okay. All right. Very cool. And they're all screw on, or you got any quick disconnect kind of stuff?
We are all classic thread. Nothing quick or disconnect. Quick disconnect, mostly just because of cost, but also they're really inefficient.
Fair enough.
They're very easy to damage. They're very hard to keep clean, and they're very time consuming.
Right.
And then truly multiply the cost.
Yeah.
We're going to stay with the classic threading system.
All right. It looks like you said you had the awning up top. Is there any coffins up top? Coffin
Nothing
boxes?
up on top.
Nothing up
It
on
is
top.
flat deck on top,
Okay.
other than just the extend-a-light that's folded down right now.
Okay. Very cool.
Coming around, we have arguably the most important part of this truck,
All right.
the refrigerator.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
The fridge is filled with nothing but water.
Okay.
Okay.
Water and some Gatorades. Yeah.
And then more of, because this truck does fulfill a command role and can be deployed not only on structure fires, but it does go on wildland fires. Okay. We've got MedPack, AED. Coffee maker needs to come back in here.
Okay.
We usually carry a Keurig in here. It's always real popular. Texans are real sensitive to temperature swings.
Okay.
So even though everyone's baking right now,
Right.
the end of the world in Texas happens at about 45 degrees.
Okay.
So the coffee maker becomes a pretty big all-star as we get into the winter months and we have winter fires.
Right.
And then coming up top, just bug spray for hornet's nest, mosquito spray, basic just kits that you would have for any rehab on fire scenes.
Okay. It's like over-the-counter medications, the
Right.
Advils, the itchy creams, and all that
Right.
kind of stuff.
Dig around, you're gonna find food in here. So it's intended to be set up and used for rehab for longer calls and then complement the command.
Okay. I noticed you have an awning on this side too.
Yes,
So
we
it's
have
an
an
awning all the way around.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's
Awnings
really nice.
come
So
all
it
the
doesn't
way
matter
around.
where you park. You
Nope.
can get yourself out of the sunlight or out of the rain or whatever it is.
Correct. Now moving to the next compartment. Okay.
There's the compressor.
Here's our actual compressor for the SCBA refill. There's a ton of noise here when it's actually going.
Okay.
We really do need to like put a set of headphones here or earplugs here, just so that people aren't getting blown up by the compressor filling, and then when it reaches its maximum capacity, discharging any pressure.
Okay. So when you are operating this, do you open up both sides or do you
Yes.
keep the cabinets closed?
Particularly on this truck, both sides have to be open.
Okay.
Okay. And that has to be taken into account. So if it's raining really hard, you need to get the awnings out. But no, this needs to be opened up.
Okay.
And it's mostly just for airflow for the compressor.
Makes sense.
The truck has to be running, okay? So you don't want any possible exhaust fumes getting stuck in an open container.
Okay.
So that's why both sides have to be open.
Makes sense.
Coming across to our last compartment. Kind of go slow here. So we got rip pack, and then we start getting into our DeWalt tools. We carry a leaf blower. A lot of that's actually for road cleanup, to blow glass off the road. Okay. An extra fan. And then coming up, we have our slide out trays. Okay. These side trays deploy out. So over here on this side, we've just got basic DeWalt tools. That's our platform. I don't care. Milwaukee, Makita, DeWalt, they're fine.
Right.
Okay. We originally started with a DeWalt drill. That's why we're DeWalt.
Makes sense.
Because we just bought more and more of it over time.
Right. And they're all pretty much comparable if we be realistic about it.
Right.
You know, one of the things is, you know, what costs more, and I think they fluctuate over the years.
Right.
Sudden, all of a sudden, DeWalt's higher, then Milwaukee, then,
Correct.
you know, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Coming around on this side, this black box has a TV.
Really? Okay.
Okay. And it's kind of tight, and you probably have to pull this tool here, but you can get the TV and pull it out.
Okay. And what would you need a TV like that for?
It's for the command post.
Okay.
So you can post radar, you can pull up your CAD, you can pull up a whole separate screen just for assignments.
Okay.
Okay. I've run it once where we just do par board, just a digital par board.
Right.
And just make it where people can, as they're in rehab, see if they're in or out of the seat.
Okay.
And then report back.
So this truck is really set up as a Swiss Army knife
Yeah.
of a rehab center. You have RIP capability, you have rehab capability, you have refill, you have light. It's pretty much everything.
Yes.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah, we really set the truck up for utility.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, bouncing off of that, we go to this next slide out. In here, just mostly a lot of loose tools. Okay. Shovel, irons. Okay. Extra air packs.
Yep.
Okay. Extra hose reel.
Okay.
I said it again. Extra electrical reel.
Yeah.
So we can deploy the lines or the electrical line off.
So where's the generator?
The generator is actually buried in the box
Okay.
behind this wall here. It sits in between the frame rails.
Okay. And how would you get that to turn on? Or is it always?
It is a PTO generator.
Okay.
You would activate it in the cab.
Nice. Okay. So that makes it very easy for those that are used to running PTOs to doing their pumps or anything like that.
Right.
It makes it sense. Makes easy.
Yep.
Okay.
And the last thing I'll show you is kind of the mock command center that we've built.
Okay. Love the smokestacks, by the way.
Yeah.
So the exhaust doesn't go to the back, it's going up and out.
Exhaust goes out and up.
Yep, above the canopies and everything. Okay, this is in the back here. It looks like you got air packs in each seat, but
Yep, you've got air packs in each seat. It may be kind of hard to see from there, and we'll get you up here in a second.
okay.
But we've got a large electrical box down here, so you can plug in. The truck has a lot of extra, like charging ports, so you can hook your phone up. It's got a cell phone booster. It's got hotspot. So the intent is to be able to, again, set up somewhere and actually run a pretty extensive command post. And then the last part of this, you can have someone up front running your radios, kind of also a scribe.
Okay.
And they would be mostly in the driver operator seat.
Yep.
That's kind of set up mostly for that, but you can hand the radios back if you need to. But the other part of this is and this is something we built, where we built like airplane tray tables, so you can set your computers up.
Nice. That's
Okay.
slick.
And you have the same thing on the other side, okay? And as your scene gets bigger or more complex, you can just start laying people in.
Right.
Okay. Up front, we have tablet mounts for the scribes or for just someone else that's helping to monitor the radio. And again, we can connect back to the TVs to try and keep that command structure where they are separated from the personnel working the scene.
Yeah.
Okay. And it just allows for a lot more versatility when it comes to the command structure and being able to set up the operation.
Right. And the one thing that I've had in my experience is when I have these kind of trucks is when you're inside a cab versus standing outside the cab, it reduces all the extra noise too. So you're able to understand and communicate better inside the cab with the doors closed, air conditioning running, rather than standing out at the back of a pickup truck and have all the extra noise around you.
Right. Very last part of this is just a very classic command board. And then extra, oh, no, that's glued on there. We did that because that was starting to come apart. But we have extra clipboards in here if needed.
Okay.
And it's just to try and keep the command, because we don't really run a classic command buggy here in Hood County.
Okay.
Or the city of Granbury. So commands typically run out of just either the front of an engine, or if there is a command vehicle that's there through the fire marshal's office or the emergency management. Okay. But realistically, commands run out of a truck on scene.
Okay.
Truly big scenes, we would set up the EOC.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I love, the whole look of the truck, how you all set it up, the fact that it's utilitarian and it covers all aspects of any support for fire or a big incident. I mean, you could even use this as, unfortunately, the mass casualty incidents and stuff like that. This thing is perfect for that kind of stuff.
And that's kind of why we wanted to highlight this particular truck. Is yes, it's not flashy like a big tower. It's not uber awesome, kind of like a brand new hot engine with a whole bunch of chrome. But this is a unique truck, and it fills a very unique role. Not only for my city, not only for my county, but in a regional perspective. We have the ability to help a lot of the other emergency service and public services. Again, I mean, we can connect to a building and provide power. We can provide support and lighting for diving operations, and then boat operation, and just on, and then search and rescue. The last piece of equipment that we're truly looking at trying to acquire is a drone.
Okay.
Because a drone would complement this really well.
Okay.
The problem I have with the drone is that because we have this huge square landing pad on the truck, everyone wants something that looks like a 747, and we just don't need something that size.
Sure. Well, I've done a couple of videos on drones, so if you're ever interested or you need some more information, I'd be more than happy to share that. Task Force 81 up in Pennsylvania would be more than happy to share that information too. So if you're ever thinking about it and you're starting to go that direction, let us know. We'll help you out.
Awesome.
That's one thing that we're trying to do across America is share our knowledge with everybody else.
Yes.
So this truck, again, is a very unique truck. It's a very special truck. It's an air light is what you call it. But, I love the fact that it's here. It's very similar to the unique truck we did out of Little Creek where they had the showers. It's a niche area, but you got to have it. At some point, it's going to be needed. And when you need it, it's here and ready to go.
Right.
So remind me once again, what year, model, make?
So Freightliner,
Okay.
a 2017, built by Pierce.
All right. Matt, Chief, thank you very much.
Thank
we
you,
really
Mike.
appreciate it. This is an awesome truck. Once again, this was a Station Riggs with Granbury, Texas Fire Department. Thank you all for watching. Before we end, hit that subscribe, hit that notification, smash those like buttons, and give us some comments below. What do you think? Does your department need one of these? If so, get a hold of them. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week. Stay safe. Take care of each other.